Yeah, so you answered a lot of our questions that we already had written out, which was great because it was we had one of the questions was convince someone in 30 seconds, but I think you said the Phenomenon movie or documentary, that's a great
it's a great
to
primer.
introduce.
And there's endless books, there's endless research into the topic. I have 2 shortcuts saved on social media. I only use social media for one thing. And
to look up alien stuff.
For probing.
I have for probes. All right, that's my incognito tab. No, but it's I have a handful of sources that I go constantly. And, when people FOIA new documents, I FOIA'd CIA. They haven't sent me anything. Apparently, you have to sue them if you actually want them to give you something, which is crazy.
I believe that. And for anybody who doesn't know what FOIA is, it's Freedom of Information Act.
Oh, this is behind the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get going.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
This is Jesse.
This is Kiki.
And this is Two Girls, One Haircut.
Behind the pod.
And this is where we talk about all the shit we just talked about.
Yeah.
It's a
Which
nice
you can tell we're doing.
decompression, a debrief.
You have to. You have to be also, did anyone understand what I was saying? Did I sound crazy? You got to troll yourself a little.
I'm worried that you're going to have to take 40 minutes of this out because I'm just
oh no,
it's
1947.
It's so good.
I'm just more how does he remember all that?
Yeah.
Because Jessica's we're going to talk about blank on the podcast. And I'm what? I already forgot. What are we talking about? I can't remember.
It's at this point, it feels there's a weird urgency. I don't know what happened. My therapist was very much be careful that you don't hijack that puritanical wiring from your childhood where you were wanting to where I'm she's when you were a kid, you really were trying to bring people to Jesus, you know what I mean? And I was very aggressive about being a fisher of men when I was a kid. And then I got older and I'm why was I doing that? Oh my God. It was just this guilt thing. I felt like I was supposed to do it.
But also that's what you were raised in though.
That's what you were raised in.
I mean, so
that's your reality.
Yes. It's the echo chamber of what you're hearing all the time. And so of course, naturally, as a kid, you're you shouldn't really feel any guilt about it.
But I was worried that maybe I was that harness,
so
that wiring harness.
You don't even need the
is
therapist
still
anymore. You just come talk with us. For
this was very therapeutic, and not only I felt like it was therapeutic, just sitting and watching you guys work out something. You guys start talking and about anything, not even what I'm talking about. Something you guys bring up, and you're yeah, you remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys have a nice relationship together. I dig it.
I mean, I just met her, but it's a vibe.
Oh, yeah. Parking lot?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was do you want to record a podcast?
I was we kind of look alike. We should do a podcast.
I found my doppelganger.
I'm into it. And now I'm the third, I guess.
You are.
This is weird. We look like non-humans. It's amazing how many of them have blonde hair and blue eyes, apparently.
Blonde hair and blue eyes, really?
Yeah.
God, don't tell the Nazis that.
Oh, don't.
Dear God.
Don't. Well,
you haven't listened to all the pods, but I'm a Jew. So.
Oh, true. Mazel tov. That's fantastic.
Mazel, right? So, and I've said before that we're very I like Judaism because we're very I don't know. And if you get 2 Jews together, you have 3 opinions.
Oh,
and that's I'm I'm reformed though. So I'm I'm not conservative.
You're
or
not
anything.
conservative.
You're not definitely
you're
not.
not Hasidim,
I eat bacon. Calm down, people.
Super conservative Hasidim. You're not like that.
No. Yeah. So we're always are there aliens? I mean, probably. Who knows?
Would you say there's aliens? Who knows if there's aliens?
I don't
what are they
know,
gonna
but
say
I
to
like
me?
the shmir. It's really good.
The shmir. Is it going to affect my taxes? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I'm not really concerned.
That's
why I love the Jewish character in Independence Day. He's the best.
Yeah,
he's Jeff Goldblum's dad.
He's so the best.
He's that thing that crashed in the 40s, the Roswell.
Yeah.
The Roswell.
Yeah, he's the best. I love it.
I love that guy. He's the best.
I think that is the movie that taught me about the term plausible deniability.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were how come we didn't... I'm the president, how come we didn't know? And he's 2 words, plausible deniability. And I was
That's why, allegedly, presidents are not...
They're not
I
read
can
in.
probably even tell you who's been read in. So... Kennedy knew
Clintons.
because this is true, and I'm not saying that it
Why
has
would
any.
they trust him with a secret? He was such a man whore.
Who, Kennedy?
Yeah.
He told Marilyn because Marilyn has private letters
obviously.
discussing how Jack talked to her about the spaceman.
See, this is why they should not have told him.
2 weeks before he died, he sent out a memo to the CIA, and he said, "I want to start de-escalation talks with nuclear missiles, and I also want to get out in front of the UFO thing." In this memo. Because you see, what they were afraid of was, and there was a 70s agreement that was signed between the Soviet Union and America. And the very first rule, I have it printed out on my desk at work. The very first thing is that we will alert each other in case of an unidentified aerial phenomena. Because all these nuclear bases, at Malmstrom Air Force Base in America, 10 nuclear ballistic missiles were turned off. And that's a big deal, right? And those people, all the people that were there, you know, nuclear control officers who have to report if they take an ibuprofen. That's how.
Oh, really? Like that's how.
That they are constantly evaluated, constantly checked. They can't take drugs. They're drug tested all the time because they're in charge of the nuclear weapons. Well, in Russia, the exact same thing happened, except they were shut on. And after that incident, that's when this treaty was formed between the Soviet Union, and this has kind of helped spark the de-escalation. Wouldn't it be interesting if that's what the non-humans are trying to do? They were warning us about nuclear weapons, and they're saying, you guys are kids with matches.
Oh my
You're going to blow each other up.
No, you guys are kids with shotguns. I mean,
Dick Cheney over here.
Yeah, you are.
Shooting you in the chest. But it appears that most
God.
presidents were intentionally left in the dark. You know, pretty much all of them up until, like, Ford knew. Jimmy Carter apparently held his head in his hand and cried. So says people that allegedly briefed him on it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally believe that, because if people who know how religious and spiritual Jimmy Carter was, you know, that would make 100% sense, because it would be almost like debilitating to your
like
your belief
information
system.
Especially if you've never been open to anything like that. And then, because, you know, some people are like, I don't know if I believe or not, but I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes. And then it's like, if you tell them, they're like, okay, but not everybody's, obviously their perspective is like that. And they're like, you're a crazy person, and whatever, that's your opinion. So I can imagine if you're like very conservative and you're religious and you have all these like...
Well, because to acknowledge that, right, then what else do you have to acknowledge, right? Like, what other belief systems have you created or walls have you built that you then have to peek behind or knock down, right?
Yeah.
If this is true, or if you're going to believe this.
And it's, you know, people have enough problems. Something that bothers me with people who are in any faith.
With people, you could just say people. People are the worst.
People are the worst. People are bastards, as they said in IT
I
crowd.
just can't stand people.
Well, like, it's like, I've noticed in, you know, growing up in a pretty fundamentalist household that, like, a lot of people who, you know, judge people based on this book, you know, but cannot handle questioning it. Like, they inherited their faith, you know, and it's a tradition for them. It's not something that they went out there and earned themselves, you know.
It's a blind belief.
People don't like questioning their own thing. Like, if you throw out, you know, some people don't like thinking the universe is older than 6,000 years old. Some people don't like thinking that you know, there is no, you know, well, I shouldn't say that on the podcast. Never mind. It's just, the Bible's got a lot of rough stuff in it, you know, but it also has a constant, you know, through line of these bright things in the sky and these things coming down that look more like a four-dimensional object with eyeballs and all these weird wings. And they're talking
people
to
got
you.
so upset with like the new remake when they did like Noah or whatever. I don't know, and it was by a Jewish director, and he's like, "There's some weird mysticism and mystical shit in the Bible," and he's like, "That's what I put in there. You think it's weird, but I put the stuff that's like word for word
It's in there.
it." And
People
he's
are getting
like,
mad at him,
and they're
it's
mad,
like-
and he's like, "I hate to break it to you, but have you read it? It's weird."
It's not the only one. And I think that people are just too fragile. Like, you know who doesn't have a problem with the concept of non-human intelligence? The Vatican. And now, if you kept up with the congressional hearings, David Grush in Congress in 2023 said that the earliest one that he presented to the Inspector General, which, by the way, if you present a lie under oath to the Inspector General of the intelligence community or the military, it's a $10,000 fine per lie. He gave 11 hours of testimony and brought 40 first-hand witnesses from the crash retrieval program, begging for whistleblower protection because they are the ones working hands-on onto the craft. He went into Congress and he said, yeah, so the earliest one that I can discuss in a public setting is the 1933 Magenta crash, a cigar-shaped crash of a cigar-shaped UFO crashed in Magenta, Italy. It was scooped up by Mussolini and his team. And it was, this sounds crazy, but he got Hitler involved because the Hitler had the Wunderwaffe, this Air Force, you know. And it might turn out that, you know, Nazi Germany might have had the very first crash retrieval. They didn't know what to do with it.
That feels right.
You can't turn this thing on. I mean, it's argued
But if
that...
it was the Nazis, there's a lot of documentation, right? Because they just love to make a film. They're like, we're doing some bad stuff and we're going to record it. We're going to let everybody see. They have no shame. They're like the ultimate cringe with no shame. It's like, oh my God,
We get that
y'all.
director Riefenstahl. Film this and make it look good.
They're like, did you get it? And they're like doing heinous acts. It's insane to me.
It's brutality. And
it's crazy.
And they did, Skoda Works. Hans Kammler was the engineer behind the Luftwaffe, the Nazi Air Force. So they did, in Czechoslovakia, have Skoda Works where they were testing the normal prosaic advanced planes, the flying wing technology and all this stuff. I don't think that they clearly didn't make any headway, but what they did do was when the war ended, according to David Grush, under oath in front of AOC and everybody else, in 1933 the crash happened. In 1945, it was handed over by Pope Pius to the American government. The Vatican handled the transition of this crashed non-human craft to the Americans.
Wow.
And I've known about that for years, but then it was in Congress because may I point out, David Grush is autistic.
Oh.
The whistleblower.
Yeah.
And he has a didactic memory. And I don't know if you know many autistic folks, but they don't tend to lie.
No, they don't.
On the level.
Yeah.
And I've never heard a man be so concise. Like, I love David. I mean, the man's an American hero. But he's up there in front of Congress like, yeah, it's been... I think the first recorded crash was in 1897 in Aurora, Texas, because they had a gravestone for this thing. And then this thing crashed into a windmill in Aurora, Texas in 1897. And the pastor of the town, they gave it a funeral. And they said it was wearing a shiny suit, and they don't know what this thing... You can look it up. And to this day, there's a headstone for it. Now... In the 70s, there was an initiative to maybe go dig up the thing they buried.
That's what I was just going to ask.
And they showed up, and it was gone.
Yep.
Somebody had already showed up and dug it up.
Oh, my God.
And
Believe
I mean, you can find the newspaper article from 1897 of them discussing that. They didn't
cool.
say UFOs. They didn't have UFOs.
They
said some airship crashed, and this weird guy, a little short fellow, we buried him. We gave him a Christian funeral because we didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But the earliest one they talked about in Congress was Italy. So the Vatican, if you notice, just go back and look, they've never had a problem with it. In fact, a few years ago, why did they have a big meeting in the Vatican where they were like, you know what? If aliens show up, they're Jesus' kids too. It's all good.
Have you been to Roswell?
I have.
Did you like it? Like just for like a fun thing?
Oh,
like,
it was kitsch. It was tremendous.
Totally
the McDonald's have
way?
like, green alien headlights.
Yeah. I want to go for the vibe. Like
the vibe was it.
Like that's why I want to go. I just want to go because these people are like, it's such a thing there, and they're so into it. And even if it's like nothing like what aliens are or would be like, I'm there for it.
I'm all about it, man. Like, because I would rather them embrace that than another sports bar that is like, let's talk about football. Like another one of those.
I think aliens would be into football.
They might, man.
Why are these people touching each other so much?
They're like apparating to the end of the football field. But people have trouble mixing those two together. But I think if anything, they will be like, oh man, you guys have been making it way too complicated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's kind of going on. And all of you did a really good job kind of figuring out what it was. You all pretty much said the same things, but then you started killing each other.
Yeah.
Because you didn't agree. When if you could just maybe flex that muscle and learn how to communicate telepathically, you would know someone's intentions and know if they were good or bad or
it's
whatever.
Like, calm down. Just like, calm down, everybody.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So if you had to choose an alien from a movie to fight.
Oh, what would you, like, which would you want to fight? That would probably be like what would be the easiest. It'd be like E.T.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought.
I told you I didn't like E.T. growing up. It was weird.
There's two. Well, it's like
it freaked me out. I was so traumatized.
Weird side story, and I found multiple corroborative witnesses of this. When Steven Spielberg premiered, when he showed E.T. at the White House with Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And I've confirmed this. Even Spielberg said this, and everyone said it, that Reagan stood up and said, now, there are many of you in this room that know everything that happened in that film is absolutely true. And he wasn't smiling. And everyone in the room was just like... And Spielberg was like, what's up?
He's like, I'm sorry, what? No.
In fact, Spielberg was the guy that told the documentarian James Fox, who did The Phenomena, he said, you should go to South Africa and talk to those 60 kids that saw this non-human thing land. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And James Fox, a documentarian studying the UFO phenomenon, was like, that's ridiculous. If that had happened,
we'd have heard about it.
And then it turns out that's how he ends his documentary. And I was weeping the first time I saw it because that was a moment of deep ontological shock because I realized just how real this phenomena was.
Wow.
Now, I think this is specifically to fight, not to like
No, I mean, like, you gotta be able to take them out.
Well, I'm not picking the predator because that thing's
No.
like 8'5".
No.
Nor the xenomorph because that's also like 8 feet tall.
I don't know. I kind of feel like signs, like I'm going to squirt my water bottle.
I like where your head's at. Plus, it's buff enough that I don't feel like a wimp.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
you can have like the squirting one. You squirt in your
I've
mouth.
got like a
'cause you're-
super soaker, and I'm like,
Wait, why weren't there super soakers in that movie? I feel like the military would have been like, put your guns down and grab a super soaker, bro.
Let's go to Toys R Us. Like, they could have really caused some damage.
I forgot about
like
that.
I'm taking everybody out.
Oh my
Yo.
god.
For sure. I mean, yeah, if I had to pick an alien to fight, which, of course, after our conversation, I'm trying to go with them. So I wouldn't be trying to fight.
You're like, I don't want to
Now,
fight
I might
him.
seduce it, depending. I don't know if you ever saw Species. That
Yes,
guy was beautiful. Even as an alien. But yeah, probably fighting. I'd have to go Close Encounters of the Third Kind because I could punt them like a soccer ball. And they're like this tall.
Like tiny.
And they're allegedly, and then apparently the things people see are very tiny. Usually when people have abduction experiences, they've had dreams and they're like, I just saw a bunch of little kids walking around.
Ew, that's
And
terrifying.
I wasn't
to me.
on Epstein's Island, so what was
Nothing
it?
is scarier than a bunch of kids together. Like if I have to walk through a group of children or high schoolers, I will like go out of my way. I'm like, I'm gonna cross the street so I can avoid them. I'm like, sorry guys, I don't
Bad
want.
juju.
Kiki wants Ewoks as
Oh, I
aliens,
said if
'cause she
I
wants
could
to cuddle.
pick what they were like, I want them to be like little
Like
Ewoks
furry.
that I could like snuggle and be friends with.
And they're like, Juga, Juga.
Yep,
That little
I'm
stick.
into it. I mean, they're a little like.
Plus, they have a
violent,
low
but I'm
threshold for catharsis. You could convince them you were God. I mean,
Yeah.
C-3PO convinced them.
I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, guys. Yeah, I would be into it.
So, aliens land on Earth, right? And only one person can represent us as humanity. Who's that one person?
Well, you just described my dream job. That's what I want.
Oh, you want
That's
that.
what I tell my wife. Like, I'm trying to manifest that when it all hits the fan.
I believe it.
I want to be an
I'm-
ambassador on behalf of the human race because I feel like
for it.
I can accurately illustrate, like, man, they're so flawed, but there's such beauty in their efforts. And,
They didn't mean to
didn't
screw up
mean
as
to,
big as they
and
did.
We're sorry about the Roswell thing.
I feel like I picked Oprah because I feel like Oprah would be like for both sides. Like she would be like, "Listen, let me tell you all about these crazy people," and then she would be like, "It's aliens."
She would-
And she'd be like, "And you get a
She'd
trip,
hype 'em
and
up.
you get a trip, and you get probed," and I would be like into it. I'd be
And then
like,
you'd be like,
"Oprah said it's
yes.
okay. It's on her like Christmas list of best things. I'm there."
I love that.
I would pick Oprah.
I think that's beautiful. I think, if I'm having to go in the direction of a celebrity, I would think either someone like Ethan Hawke, because I like the way his mind works. Like, he's very philosophical.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. They're both
Keanu Reeves, for
openly
sure.
very kind and decent people.
Yeah.
I would want Mr. Rogers to do it.
Oh,
but if he's gone,
He's
and if Robin Williams is gone,
Then,
then yeah, I would probably pick
about,
something like
like-
that. Or Stephen Colbert, because he knows how to talk to
Colbert.
people.
Colbert's so great.
And he is he's really into this topic. So
What about like
that's
RFK? Be like-
No, I said RFK is if aliens are here in disguise. I said RFK because he's like sugar water, like he sounds like the guy.
sugar and water.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
talking about,
he
I know
sounds-
Edgar. That's not Edgar. You're talking about Men in Black.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm like he sounds like him, and I'm like, so that guy's totally like an alien trying to hide out.
Could you imagine them like talking to him in this? I can't, mimic telepathy. So I'm imagining the aliens are like, so, Robert, we appreciate you coming to talk to us. So, what are your thoughts on anything?
Well, personally, I think that the worms, that they work their way out of my brain. I feel like I started being able to talk telepathically.
And they're like, you know what, bro? We're gonna take you back. Oh,
They're like, there's
get us Larry David. Get us
there's a bug in this one, literally and metaphorically.
metaphor. Yeah,
Oh my god!
brutality. Yeah. I think they wouldn't have a good time with him. I think they would just dump Steve Bannon into a river. I'm pretty sure they would just drop him back to the atmosphere because he's gross.
So obviously after like the podcast and the behind the pod, like you believe in aliens, but do you believe they're here already? Like
Yeah.
among us?
I honestly, I believe in my heart of hearts that anthropological biologists can't figure out how the human brain doubled in size over a span of 200,000 years. There are no evolutionary prerequisites which make that make sense. The only theory I've ever thought kind of made sense was the stoned ape theory, because psilocybin has been proven time and time again to be capable of regrowing neural pathways. It
So
might
like
be
apes were stoned
magic
or
mushrooms.
whatever?
They
Like
were
they
eating
were
magic
eating
mushrooms.
it. Yeah, okay.
And I can see that being something that helped expand our brain.
Right.
It's kind of like the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey. But I don't necessarily think that's it. I think that the non-humans, that whatever they are, and there could be different groups. You know what I mean? Like we're not. They don't. It's probably not all the same thing. But I do truly believe that at some point along the way, as someone probably did in their culture a millennia ago, someone came along and was like, "You guys are doing pretty good, but here's where you're going wrong." You know, and I think that something helped.
Do you think
speed
we're
up our
the
evolution.
aliens?
I think that we are descendants of
I was going
something.
to say, did you see, is it the beginning of Prometheus where the alien, like, takes something and then, like, basically decomposes into the water and then it, like...
Don't get me started on the Promethean archetype from Greek. I do appreciate that film, and I love that he called it Prometheus, because the Lightbringers, the Promethean myth is what led to the idea of Lucifer being a bad guy. But in Gnostic tradition of Christianity, the Old Testament God was actually a vengeful, lying God, and Jesus was the serpent. And there are times throughout the Bible where Jesus is referred to as the serpent, and that's left over from Gnostic Christianity. They believed that the Promethean archetype of the serpent was trying to give gnosis, wisdom and understanding, to the male and the female, and to escape this Yaldabaoth is what they called him, like the demiurge, the fake god that created the physical world. At some point along the lines, we flipped that. And I think that's very disappointing. That, that's the way that history's tended to change. Sorry, I blanked out. What was the original question?
I know. I was like, wow.
went off on a tangent.
Oh, it was, do you think they're here?
Oh, yes. I think that, I don't know, that's it.
Oh, and then I was like, are we the alien? Like, do you think they're
there's
here?
a chance.
And then, like, is it possible that we are kind of the ones that actually are the aliens?
I think that there's a reason they're so concerned with us. Because
they're like low-key obsessed with us.
they're kind of low-key obsessed. Like,
They're like into us.
They're making a point to have a profound impact in the lives of select people. Select people, experiencers, maybe who've had a family history of having experiences with non-human beings or intelligence of some kind. It's like they often have a profound change. The Ariel school kids, the kids I was talking about earlier, I mean, you hear these kids talking and you literally can't make 62 kids lie this well.
No,
and these
kids are terrible at lying. They're like holding the scissors with their hair and they're like, did you cut your bangs? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's no way they could like all make up a lie and agree on it. They're the worst.
Harvard psychiatrist John Mack was like, oh my God, these kids are actually telling the truth. And then there are teachers at the school that are like, no, they saw it. And this isn't the first time. There's a long history of 1966, Whitehall, Australia. There's a long history of non-humans appearing to children, and I think that's on purpose.
I think because kids are more open to it.
They're not going to try to kill them.
And they're not going to
They weren't
shoot
scared
them.
either.
Yeah.
The children were like...
Yeah, they're like, cool.
So like, were you scared? They're like, no, he was just a little guy, a little person, and he looked at me. And when you hear the interviews... And by the way, at the end of the film and the phenomena, and there's an entire documentary just dedicated to the Ariel school landing called Ariel, and it's tremendous. Ariel. This was the one that happened in 1994. But those kids all got together and they're adult. For the
I was wondering about that. Like
not
now,
that long ago, and none of them have changed their story.
Really?
None of them. They're all like, talking like it was so difficult to go to school the next day because like the teachers didn't want to believe us, but the media was there because it was huge that this thing happened. Yeah. And like, there's news footage from the days leading up to the Ariel school landing of a UFO flap, which is what they call a series of UFO sightings in an area leading up to something, like the collapse of the Silver Bridge or the Phoenix Lights
like an
incident.
event.
Or a lot of the crashes, like the Kingman, Arizona crash, a lot of the UFO crashes allegedly, would have a flap preceding it. But no, I think very much that flap in the Ariel school, like, it was culminating in that, and those kids were supposed to have their life changed. And some of those kids I follow on Instagram, and they're adults, and one of them's an artist that paints these pictures, and she just recently passed away from cancer, but she didn't change her story up to the very end. And a lot of her art dealt with what they experienced. Yeah. 60 kids, broad daylight, in the middle of the day, just this little silver, real quiet, just lands on the ground, and these little things get out, and they're skipping time. It's like they'll be walking, and then they'll be 4 feet ahead of themselves. Yeah. And one kid said that she was 1 meter away from it. so she's arms reach 3 feet.
Yeah, I'm like metric system.
And this
no.
thing's looking at her.
How
yeah.
far?
And the thing's looking at her, and not threatening. There's no, why would it need to threaten us? We're the ones that threaten it. We're the ones that try to shoot them out of the sky and are so weird about them and hide their secrets from the universe. But
it also makes me think of like the idea that because kids are like these open like receptacles or receptors, we were talking about earlier about,
bias and
or being more open to just to something
and that's
in
where
general.
it's like kids can talk about past lives and they can talk about grandparents and family members that have passed.
Oh my god, when they talk about someone they never met, and then they describe them, and you're like, wait,
and so it's
what?
like I'm like,
So
well,
trippy.
when I
Kids
think
are so
about like
creepy.
if somebody was going to show themselves to somebody, well, yeah, I mean, I think kids would be an easy kind of like pathway to that,
And they're the future. I mean, think about it. How many calcified boomers do you know with like lead poisoning in the brain that have no sympathy for anybody? Mm-hmm. They will not change. They will blow themselves up to spite their own face, like even just to prove a delusion.
Yeah.
But children, like you said, they don't have any bias. They're open to it. And those kids were all changed, and they all went into the world. And this is how I think they influenced our culture. I don't necessarily... Some people believe that they landed and that a lot of deities throughout history were indeed just non-humans affecting us. There are people that think that they were doing it to keep us divided. I don't believe that. And I think, if anything, we took their appearances and misinterpreted it and made it our thing. Like this thing appeared, it was just showing up to say, hey,
Yeah.
And then, 1,000 years later, they're like, no, the light says that I should judge you and kill you. And it's like, what, the light that showed up thousands of years ago? That was a UFO, but you think it's some kind of god or deity or something. I think they're here, and I think they're subtly influencing our culture. I think that people who are abducted, there is a history of zygotes being taken, sperm and egg. I mean, some of the more frightening abduction cases involve getting pregnant, having the fetus removed.
Oh my god.
But that it feels, even people who have the scarier experiences, the reason it's scary, the things aren't being scary, it's that imagine a zebra in a zoo. We sedate a zebra, inseminate it with a little thing to make sure we get the zebra. Maybe it's an endangered species. Maybe we're an endangered species. I mean, there is no other example of wood in the known universe. Little things like that. We're pretty special to be here. The exact distance from the sun we need to be
and
to
we keep
evolve
trying
naturally.
to kill ourselves off. So
We keep trying to blow ourselves up.
Lord have mercy.
And
Can't help ourselves.
it seems like those things might even be looking out for us. Maybe this is something that's happening across the entire universe. Maybe they are an AI. Maybe all cultures throughout the history of the universe have gotten to a point and they gave birth to an AI and they ended up blowing themselves up. And then that AI goes out into the universe and helps inspire other civilizations to grow. And then they give birth to AIs. And then that, for all we know, it could be our own AI coming back now. I enjoy speculation, but what I do know is that whatever it is, I think it has good intentions for us.
I love speculating wildly.
Oh, it's so fun.
It's the best.
So fun.
Just throw something out there and see what happens. That's our podcast.
Yeah, it's great. Let's see what sticks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. This has been
I think
great.
you need a podcast. I think you need to start a podcast so I can listen to you talk about this.
Maybe someday.
Because I do
That'd be
feel like
cool.
I could just listen all day.
Like when
every
I'm
day.
not listening to my own podcast,
That's
I
right.
might listen to yours. You know what I mean?
If you need an
maybe.
optimistic but also kind of ethereal pick-me-up, I got you covered.
There you go.
Also, if we have enough people reach out to us and like ask us questions,
I would do a
like,
follow-up.
I would love to do a follow-up.
Yeah.
And have you back on.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Love
Absolutely. Yes.
I
Because I
love
feel
it.
like we've just
Barely
barely
scratched
scratched the surface.
You have. Because let me tell you, it just gets weirder. It went from 2017, it's like me like, nuts and bolts. Recovered spaceships from aliens.
Yeah.
And then cut to 2021, I'm like trying to learn ancient Greek. You know what I mean? Because of like the noosphere and Plato and Socrates and the way that the old practices of like the Roman and Greeks seem to intersect with a lot of thought protocols and the protocols that persons who use psychic phenomena, things that I may think now could be downloads from non-human intelligences like technology and things. Maybe that's what they were. So I'm like, it's so weird. I mean, it takes you in weird directions.
I always think it's interesting when they say like, oh, like in a movie or something, that like aliens or whatever from the future or just aliens are going to talk to you through like mathematics and stuff like that because it's like the universal language.
It's a universal language.
But then have you seen Pluribus? Is that
you
like,
know,
do
I
hate
mentioned
it?
Better Call Saul earlier. I love Vince Gilligan shows. This is a Vince Gilligan show with that girl who I think is so incredible.
You don't like it?
I haven't started it.
Oh,
I'm dying to
I
start
haven't
it.
started it
So
either.
I will say I'll just say like what because you find this out in the first 5 minutes, like what the show is basically like some form of alien sends out, like, you know how we had like the golden record that we like sent out music.
Voyager,
so
yeah.
they send out like something through space and time, and it's like a sequence. And so these two like guys find it, they're like, oh my God. And then scientists realize, oh, it's like a DNA sequence. And then they're making it. Of course, you're like, why are you doing that? Like, that can't be good. That's not going to lead to anything good. And
feels right, though.
aliens are trying to infect, like somebody, like a rat bites them or something like that. So they get this thing that they're injecting into rats, and they get infected with this. But it makes everybody like a hive mind that gets along, except for 11 people
in the entire world.
in the entire world. And Carol is one of them. And she's like a creative, like she's a writer. She's a very creative person. And so like she obviously is like, this is not a good thing that like, so we're all connected. I know every one of your memories. I know every one of your memories. I know everything. You know everything about me.
What do we have to talk about then?
Exactly. It's so boring. So I think Carol in a way is like, this is not great. I'm a creative writer. This seems boring. But like, they're like, oh, but in a way it is a utopia because it's like a hive mind.
There's no fighting. What's the
There's no
price?
fighting.
You
like,
understand where
they're
everybody's
working
coming
out like
from
people
and-
who don't have housing or people who have like less, and they're like all working it out, and they're like bringing all the food together in one source. But there's like so much more to it. So it's like, I'm not really like spoiling it, but like it's crazy. It's such a good show though, and it just builds because I liked it from the get go because I thought the concept was fascinating. But I will say like after like 1 or 2 episodes, it really starts to pick up, and you're like, oh my God. And of course, how like the 11 people, how they react differently.
Sure.
To it, and they just want to make you happy. So they're like, Carol, we just want to make you happy, Carol. And they like legit do. It's so
like,
weird.
I don't want to be a hive mind. Like,
She's like, I don't want it.
it.
And they're like, what do you need, Carol? Tell us what you need? And she's
and
like,
I'm
I want
like-
my grocery store back. And they restock the entire grocery store so she can go grocery shop. So like, it's such a like privileged white lady thing, but it's also like
Maybe
hilarious.
it's not that bad being one of the 11. You know, you
Yeah.
just have a bunch of like,
People trying to like make you happy.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
This
I mean,
is
they're
like-
assimilating
this is-
you, but yeah, you
I was
know.
gonna say it's like
But
life
you
goals
should,
right here.
you should definitely watch it. It's good.
I'm gonna check it out. Next time we talk, I will have seen it.
Okay.
Because I
good.
feel like a bum having not seen
You're
it
gonna
yet.
like
I haven't
fly
seen it
through it
either,
because it's
so-
all like it's finished. It's all out the first season. So
Good. That means I can binge it.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
binge
I'm not
it.
trying to do this edge me for a whole week thing.
Thank
Oh
you.
my
Thank you.
God, we talked
Let me
about that on the
binge
podcast. It drives me nuts.
I'm like, I grew up where they left you on cliffhangers for months. Okay, I am down to binge something.
I want to
right?
forget it and then rewatch it.
Yes, thank
what I'm
you.
into.
Downton Abbey. I watch it, enjoy every second of it,
can't
and then
remember
watch
anything.
it 15 more times
Yeah.
because I will make myself forget just so I can
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah,
again.
exactly.
It's tremendous. Unbelievable.
love
Go watch The Phenomenon.
Yes, do it, and then forget and watch it again.
Watch
Yep.
it again.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This is Jessie.
This is Kiki.
And this is Two Girls, One Haircut. Bye. Hey, this is Jessie. Real quick before you go, if you aren't doing this already, please don't forget to follow us, rate us, and leave us a review. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. But 5 stars only, people, because really, who needs that kind of negativity in their life? And if you've made it this far, you're basically family now. So act like it and share the episode. Okay, bye.